point is to get to that place and succeed, because success builds on itself. If you keep, we'll talk about failure. Maybe now is the time to talk about failure. There's two things about failure. If you fail and you don't have a powerful relationship with failure, then you're just left with failure. But once you start succeeding in at least, so there's two things. I've never written this down, so I'm articulating this for the first time. When you experiment on how you're going to achieve your goals, you want to be able to fail. You want to have the capacity to fail and get feedback from the world. But when you set your goal to yourself on what you're going to do, you want to succeed. So you want to build on successes of what you're telling yourself that you're going to do. Does that make sense? Did that communicate?
Can you say it again?
Yeah, so when you're experimenting on how you're going to achieve your goal, you want to have a capacity to fail. So I'll flesh that out a little bit more with an example. So Thomas Edison was asked when he invented the light bulb by some reporter. And this was on his 8,000th failure. He said, the reporter said, you failed at trying to invent this crazy thing called the light bulb 8,000 times. Well, why don't you just give up? And Thomas Edison goes, I'm sorry, young man, but you just don't know how the world works. I now know 8,000 ways not to make a light bulb. And within that, he didn't say this, but within that, he also knows threads of ways that are working, that are moving him closer to that light bulb. And so back to ecology and ecosystems, that's what nature does inherently. It's constantly just moving towards more life. And, oh, this is working. Okay, we'll keep going. This isn't working, it'll go extinct. This is working, it'll keep going. Oh, this isn't working, it'll go extinct. It just keeps moving that way. And what we have as humans is so amazing is we get to build ecosystems. And that's incredible. Because we get to evolve, we get to create evolution. Now the problem is that our whole society is creating an evolutionary state that's going in a direction that doesn't match with the health and vitality of life. So what we're going to try to do is what I'm trying to do, and hopefully you guys get totally into it too, is start a cultural movement where we start to invent and create and evolve in a way that aligns with the principles of life. So that we create ecosystems, social ecosystems, economic ecosystems, any kind of ecosystem you can think of that uses those principles to thrive. So ecology that is inherent in a thriving ecosystem is really strong feedback loops. So there's always information that's trafficking through all of the entities within a forest or within any kind of ecosystem that you can imagine. And those entities are always adapting. They're always taking in that information and adapting. So what we want to do is have strong feedback loops inside of our own experimentation to achieve our goals. So one of your best feedback loops is failure. There's this kind of, I'm really anti there's a meme in our culture where we try not to say that anybody fails. Like failures, that defeats the ego, self-confidence goes down. You want to go into failures and learn and grow and oh yeah, I failed again. Anybody who creates anything great fails a lot. They fail all the time. But they don't see it as a bad thing. They see it as a lesson and a learning and a movement forward. So that's the main point. So that's the relationship you want to have with the way you try to achieve your goals. And even when you fail on one of your goals, you want to still see it as that learning procedure, that learning process. What did I do differently? Did I not have breakfast that day? Did I hang out with somebody who's always, talking about how sick they are, and then I, felt like I couldn't go and do what I wanted to do because I felt sick? Whatever. You're just in this, the only real expectation, expectations can motivate you. They can also just send you down a spiral of here's my expectations. But the one thing you should always expect is to grow and to learn. Just never let a growth opportunity or a learning opportunity pass you by. And every time you fail, it's a huge opportunity. There's always a nugget there. Always. And we don't think about it that way. I don't know why they don't stress it more in education, but students would do so much better if they stress that.